can see it light on down that road. See the light come shining at the end of the road.
Had friends who were interested in, you kind of did things in a semi-opportunist way. I'd be a carpenter at lunchtime back in the day. You'd go down to find a payphone and get on the payphone and talk to a local club. It was old school. You could go in, audition, and I had enough going on that they hired me, and soon I was on my way. Everywhere used to have music, a little stage, and I could go in there solo, like down, 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 down. And then I'd find places with pianos. If you had a few of those gigs going on, you could survive on hundreds. Rent was like $100 a month. I had my rent covered in one gig. So maybe three bands we were all like a big family, but would all rotate around a circuit. That's when I got into renting halls, something I had a big stage and a big floor. And in the basement would be a kitchen. So our friends would come in and cook food. And so people could have food for a really low fee. I think we charged like $3. This is when I'm starting to get my first calls as assignment. People who I knew as big time national artists were starting to call me up to come and play with them. Or someone like a Peter Rowan, who had just at that time been recording Old and in the Way with Jerry Garcia from the Dead, that kind of stuff. And the house we found had been owned by these Iranians who fled Iran when the Shah was deposed. The roof had leaked and, vegetation was growing in the carpets. Me and my friend were good at trades, meaning we could fix things up and patch roofs. And I made a deal we had the house with no rent. And so again, it was the economics allowed us to develop the music. We assembled the band. We took it to Marion, Indiana. And there was a guy there who was friends with Dickie Betts from the Allman Brothers. The Allman Brothers were on top of the world then. We ended up opening shows for him. Then I got a phone call, and they called me down to Florida to join this band that was one of the Van Zants. We were under the wing of Donnie Van Zant, who had a #1 record. So we were touring, playing 10,000-seat Coliseums with them. And I went, oh, my goodness, this is good. I thought I had it made.
Oh, so
but the more you get around the bigs, the more you realize that if you're not the main guy, and if really everything's about songwriting, if you're not writing the hit songs, then you are expendable. You're playing at Coliseum and then not seeing any money. You're going, okay, what's going on? The big act who we're opening up for, they're making real money. But they weren't throwing like $1,000 down for our band to share. No one was throwing any money down. We were definitely doing it for exposures. After 9 months of seeing this not work, I just came back to Marin County and decided, heck with fortune and fame. I'm better off trying my solo scene. And that's when I got the call to, play with Chuck Berry on his West Coast. He turned out to be a total fool, and he goes out, but he doesn't give you a set list to tell you what songs you're playing or what key you're in. So he'll start his riff, and you can't tell if he's playing in B flat or A or B because he didn't tune to the piano. And so my bass player and I would be looking absolutely panicked at each other. Everybody was ripped off by producers. Everybody was hungry to record. And the guy recording you would say, well, if we're going to record your song, even though you wrote it, I want half royalties. And people would sign over everything. But if you sign those contracts, you're also in debt because Warner Brothers might have put back in that money. They might have put 50 to 100 grand into creating an album for you, right? But they're not pushing it. So they're not selling it. So guess what, Colin? You and your band are suddenly $50,000 in debt.